Green is weak, yellow is strong, and red is unstoppable. Neil had no color at all, but he was the kindest guy in school. He carried heavy equipment for teachers and always stood up for kids getting picked on. Yet despite his constant kindness, everyone walked all over him. Every single day, a ruthless yellow-type bully named Marcus slammed Neil into the gym walls, taking his lunch money and mocking him for being a useless zero. Neil never complained and never fought back. Everything changed when Marcus crossed the line. One afternoon, he trapped a small green-type freshman in the hallway, threatening to blast him with his yellow energy. Neil stepped directly between them to protect the kid, taking a brutal energy hit straight to the chest. Marcus laughed, charging up a glowing yellow fist to finish him off. Neil didn't dodge. He casually reached out and caught Marcus's heavy fist with a single hand, stopping it dead in its tracks. Suddenly, a blinding blue light shot out from Neil's eyes, blasting a violent shockwave that sent Marcus flying across the hallway. Nobody in history had ever seen a blue aura before. After years of being bullied for having no power, Neil shocked the entire school by unleashing an impossible blue aura. For 5 terrifying seconds, the raw blue energy surged completely out of control. The overwhelming shockwave slammed Marcus against the floorboards, leaving the top bully trembling in pure horror as his yellow energy vanished completely. Then, just as fast as it exploded, the blue aura flickered and vanished into thin air. Neil's body returned to normal, showing zero color once again. He stared at his own shaking hands, completely confused and terrified by what he had just done. Scared of himself, Neil ran straight down the hallway, every single student backed against the lockers, staring in dead silence as he rushed out of the building. By the next morning, news of the new blue aura had spread across the entire city. Sitting in a massive luxury office, Marcus's father watched the news video of his son getting humiliated. A dangerous, fiery red aura flared around his body, proving that he was unstoppable. He closed the TV, looked at Marcus, and growled,
"No zero type embarrasses our family. I'm handling this myself."
Neil's sudden blue aura outburst went viral across the city, catching the attention of Marcus's father, one of the most powerful red aura owners. The next day at school was completely silent. Nobody bumped into Neil, nobody made eye contact, and no bullies dared to come anywhere near him. But Neil wasn't feeling confident at all. Every afternoon after class, Neil snuck into an abandoned warehouse on the edge of town to test his power. He stood in the middle of the empty room, focusing as hard as he could, trying to make the blue light appear again. But no matter how long he stood there, nothing happened. Without the intense emotion from before, he couldn't trigger it. Suddenly, the front doors of the warehouse were blasted completely off their hinges. As the thick smoke cleared, Marcus stepped through the entrance, standing right beside a terrifying red aura man. Marcus pointed straight at Neil with a cruel smile. "That's him, Dad! Show this fake zero what happens when someone disrespects our family!" Neil backed away against the wall in pure horror. His heart pounded in his chest. As the red user stepped forward, Neil's body suddenly began to vibrate. Deep beneath his avatar, a tiny spark of blue aura started to flicker. After Marcus brought his father to intimidate Neil, they triggered a tiny spark of blue aura beneath Neil's skin. Marcus's father came closer and sneered down at Neil. "Is this the zero you were afraid of, Marcus?" He laughed. "He's nothing." Neil stared up at them, and something inside him completely snapped. He was done being terrified. A massive wave of violent blue aura exploded outward, filling the entire warehouse. Neil entered an uncontrollable rage state, his eyes glowing solid blue as raw, wild energy flooded the room. Marcus's father tried to use his red energy to block it, but the blue power completely overwhelmed him. The shockwave shattered the red aura, slamming both Marcus and his father flat onto the concrete floor. They lay there bruised and completely powerless. Neil floated over them for a brief second as the mysterious blue energy vanished, and he returned into a normal state. Terrified by the consequences he can face, Neil ran back home. The next morning at school, someone grabbed his shoulder. That was his green-type best friend, Anthony. His face looked terrified. He whispered, "Neil, I spent all night digging through the city's old archives. I found out what that blue aura actually is." After Neil's uncontrolled blue aura crushed Marcus and his father, Neil arrived at school the next morning, where his best friend pulled him aside with shocking news. The color ranking system wasn't always just yellow, red, and green. Centuries ago, there was an ancient, forgotten power rank that only the chosen ones had. It was the blue aura, and it was so strong that people considered it to be the god power. But red leaders decided to erase it from history to have the only powerful aura in the world. Before Anthony has even finished his sentence, heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway. A senior student with a bright yellow aura stepped out of the shadows.
"So you're the zero type who put Marcus in the hospital. Let's see how tough you are without your little magic trick."
The bully lunged forward, shoving Neil hard against the metal lockers. Panicking, Neil instinctively grabbed the bully's wrist to push him off, but the moment their hands touched, Neil's hands sparked with a dark blue glow. The yellow aura around the bully violently drained away, flowing directly into Neil's body. He dropped to his knees as his color completely disappeared. He could steal others' auras. While defending himself at school, Neil discovered his blue aura could drain other people's powers, absorbing a high-tier bully's yellow rank. Neil rushed out through school doors and stopped. The stolen yellow energy buzzed beneath his skin like a live wire. He felt the new aura giving him physical power. Suddenly, his phone buzzed with an incoming live video feed. Pinned against the front door was Neil's father, held down by 2 towering red-type hitmen. Marcus's father leaned in close to the lens with a smirk.
Your dad is paying for your little display at the warehouse, Zero. You have exactly 5 minutes to surrender yourself, or he doesn't make it to 6.
The feed cut to black. Neil stared at the dark screen full of anger. Both blue and yellow auras flared up around his body. He sprinted toward his neighborhood at insane speed, ready for a brutal fight to save his dad. But when Neil rounded the corner to his house, he froze in shock. The two massive red-type hitmen were unconscious on the lawn, with their auras completely extinguished. Standing over them in the middle of the wreckage was Neil's dad. Neil sprinted home to save his father, only to find the red hitmen unconscious on the lawn and his dad completely unharmed. "Dad, how did you destroy all of them?" His father looked at him in sheer shock, his hands trembling.
It wasn't me, Neil. It was someone in a black mantle. He dropped from above, glowing with a blue aura, drained them in a second, and vanished.
Neil's mind raced. A second blue aura. He scanned the yard trying to process it when he suddenly noticed something was wrong. Marcus's father was missing. Before Neil could even open his mouth to ask where he went, a blinding flash erupted. Marcus's father lunged from behind, slamming a massive concentrated blast of red energy directly into Neil's dad's back. The sheer, horrific force of the impact evaporated his father completely in a split second. Neil froze. The world around him went dead silent. His blood felt like boiling acid. The veins in his neck bulged as his vision blurred to black at the edges. A violent, uncontrollable blue aura exploded from his body, shredding the driveway beneath his boots into dust. Marcus's father ambushed Neil's dad, sending Neil into a blinding, vengeful rage. "Your useless dad is gone, Zero. Now it's your turn." Neil didn't say a word. His eyes burned a hollow, lethal blue. Before Marcus's father could even raise another attack, Neil vanished. He reappeared instantly in front of him, shattering him with a devastating right hook. The impact slammed Marcus's father into the pavement. Desperate, he fired a blast of red energy at Neil. But Neil didn't dodge. The blue aura surrounding him completely swallowed the attack, neutralizing the heat instantly. Neil lunged forward, grabbing Marcus's father, and pinned him against the brick wall. He activated his leeching power. An agonizing scream echoed through the neighborhood as every drop of red aura was ripped out of Marcus's father's body. He shriveled onto the floor as a completely powerless Zero. Surging with stolen red energy, Neil felt a terrifying amount of power. But as he looked down at the empty driveway, the victory felt entirely hollow. After absorbing Marcus's father's red energy, Neil looked around. Beside the fallen hitman lay a piece of dark black cloth, snagged on a sharp stone during the earlier fight. Neil knelt and picked up the fabric. The moment his skin touched the thread, a sharp shockwave rippled through his fingers, pointing directly toward the old industrial district. "So you left me a path," Neil muttered, closing his fist around the cloth. Following the faint blue glow, Neil sprinted down quiet, empty side streets until he reached an abandoned construction site. Inside the quiet concrete structure, the energy trace grew burning hot. Neil hid behind a wall, peeking into the open floor. Two high-ranking red enforcers were trapped against the wall, backing away in fear from a single figure in a black mantle. With effortless speed, the cloaked figure swept forward, striking both enforcers at once. A sharp blast of dark blue energy knocked them out instantly. The violent shockwave exploded outward, catching the mantle's edge and pulling the dark hood off completely, revealing the face of the mysterious figure. Hidden in the abandoned construction site, Neil watched as a mysterious, rare, blue energy user effortlessly crushed two red-type enforcers. The stranger's hood fell back, revealing a girl his age with glowing blue eyes, the exact same aura color as Neil's. She turned, freezing the second her eyes met Neil's. She closed the distance and threw her arms around him in a tight, desperate hug. Neil stood completely paralyzed. "I can't believe you're actually alive. I thought I was the only one who survived." Neil stumbled back, his head spinning. "Survived what? Who are you?" Her smile vanished. "Wait, you don't remember? You don't know what we—" Before she could finish, deafening sirens echoed from outside. A booming voice roared over a loudspeaker. "You are surrounded! Step out with your hands up!" Neil spun around to grab the girl, but she has already disappeared. Red police officers surrounded Neil against the raw concrete pillars of the construction site. The commander stepped forward, his heavy energy cannon charging with blinding heat. "Target acquired! Fire!" A massive beam of energy exploded from the barrel, but the second later, Neil woke up. He was sitting in his bedroom. Warm sunlight streamed through the window, and the scent of breakfast filled the air. Neil looked down at his hands and tried to summon his blue aura, but it was completely gone. His bedroom door creaked open. His dad stepped into the room, leaning his head at a sickening angle with an unnaturally wide, frozen smile. "Good morning, son," he said, his voice overlapping with a strange, static pitch. He didn't walk. He glided smoothly across the floor without moving his feet, planting a plate of food onto the table. The glass vase beside the plate was a 2D texture. That's when Neil understood that something was terribly wrong. Neil got blasted by the red police, woke up at home with no powers, and noticed the vase on his table glitching. Neil backed away from his creepy dad, ran out the door and hit the streets. The whole neighborhood felt wrong. Everything was super quiet. Neil sprinted all the way to his school to figure out what was going on. The second he walked inside, his brain melted. Nobody had yellow or red powers anymore. Instead, students were flexing crazy new colors: white, purple, and dark gray energy sparking everywhere. Then Neil saw Marcus. Marcus was the big bully who used to mess with Neil all the time. But now, Marcus was cowering against the lockers. In this world, he had no powers. Neil walked up to him totally confused, but the second Marcus saw Neil, he panicked. "Stay back!" Marcus screamed. Out of nowhere, a terrifying wave of pure black energy exploded right out of Marcus's chest. It was a void aura, power this world has never seen. Marcus randomly unlocked a forbidden black void aura and opened a giant black hole right in the middle of the school hallway. Neil screamed as the gravity pulled him off his feet, sucking him straight inside. For a single second, the whole world vanished. Neil floated in a massive, dark void. Floating around him were millions of glowing glass bubbles. Inside each bubble was a completely different reality. One world was totally frozen, another one was on fire, and one had giant monsters walking through the city. Before his brain could even process it, he woke up laying in a hospital bed, staring at a dull white ceiling. He looked at his hands and felt his powers return. He swung his legs out of bed and stood up. The room was totally empty, with one long hallway stretching outside the open door. Neil walked out and started walking down the corridor, but the end of this hallway was never seen. Neil escaped a fake reality, got sucked into Marcus's black hole, and woke up trapped inside a hospital with a hallway that never ends. He walked through those white hospital hallways for a whole week without stopping. No food, no water, no exits, until his legs gave out. Eventually, Neil collapsed onto his knees, completely drained and out of strength. That's when the hallucinations hit him. Hundreds of glitchy copies of Marcus and his dad surrounded him in a massive circle. They all laughed at him with static voices. Pure rage boiled through Neil's blood, hotter than any power he had ever held before. A catastrophic shockwave of ultimate blue aura exploded out of his chest, tearing through the hospital walls like paper, disintegrating the illusion to dust. Neil snapped his eyes open. He was back in his real world, floating high in the sky. Beneath him was his hometown. It was completely on fire. Neil floated in the smoky air, looking down at the inferno swallowing his hometown when the terrifying truth hit him. The hospital dimension hadn't slowed down time. While Neil was trapped in that endless hallway for a week, his physical body remained in the real world on complete autopilot. His unleashed blue aura had gone on an uncontrolled rampage, unleashing waves of raw energy that set the entire district on fire. As Neil descended toward the burning streets, he noticed his enemies lying motionless on the floor. Their auras were completely drained. The blue aura wasn't just a rare color, it consumed every other power in existence to feed itself. Suddenly, the smoke-filled sky trembled. Dozens of massive military warships appeared in the night sky, locking red laser targets onto Neil's chest. Some new type of aura flared above them.